Etad bhagavato rupam stulam te vyavritam maya divish chavaranar ashtabir bahir avritam.
Etad, Etad. All these Bhagavataha of the personality of Godhead, Rupam, Stulam, Te, unto you, Vyahritam, explained, Maya, by me, the planets, Advihi, and so on, Cha, unlimitedly, Avaranai, by coverings, Ashtabihi, by 8, Bahihi, external, Avritam, covered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvindam Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus, by all this, the external feature of the personality of Godhead is covered by gross forms, such as those of planets, which are explained to you by me. Purport. As explained in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 4, the separated material energy of the personality of Godhead is covered by 8 kinds of material coverings: earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All these are emanations from the personality of Godhead as his external energy. These coverings are just like the covering of clouds for the sun. The cloud is a creation of the sun, yet it actually covers the eyes so that one cannot see the sun. The sun cannot be covered by the clouds. The cloud can at utmost extend a few hundreds of miles in the sky, but the sun is far greater than millions of miles. So 100-mile covering is not competent to cover millions of miles. Therefore, one of the various energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot, of course, cover the Lord. But these coverings are created by him to cover the eyes of the conditioned souls who want to lord it over the material nature. Actually, the conditioned souls are covered by the illusory creative cloud of matter, and the Lord reserves the right of being exposed to their eyes. Because they have no eyes of transcendental vision, and because they cannot see the personality of Godhead, they therefore deny the existence of the Lord and the transcendental form of the Lord. The covering of the gigantic material feature is accepted by such men with a poor fund of knowledge, and how this is so is explained in the following verse. Om Ganyatam Randasya Ganajana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Asad Asad. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is the bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly and the exalter of the most fallen. So as we read it and relish and try to understand what it is saying to us, we can become saintly, just like Sanatan Goswami says in his Mahima Stotram prayers. So we're hearing about the material coverings of the universe, the material covering of the spiritual sky, actually, which is manifested as the material universe that we are in now. And from the verse, we can understand that this is the external feature of the Lord, or it's the external energy of the Lord. The Lord has many energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. He has unlimited energies, and the external energy is just one of them, and that is what we see all around us. And Prabhupada's explaining in that the Bhagavad Gita says, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kammano buddhir evacha, that this material energy can be separated, can be categorized into 8 different elements, you could say: earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego. The first 5 are more gross, and then the last three, mind, intelligence, and false ego, are subtle material coverings. But these are all emanations from Krishna. They are Krishna's energy, and they should be understood to be as that. But we should also understand that Krishna is separate from those energies. So Krishna is a person. At the same time, Krishna is these energies. And so it's this inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference, which is part of our philosophy. That part of the philosophy was mainly propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a incarnation of Krishna, who came in the 1500s to play out his pastimes with his associates and with all the devotees, and to relish in the nectarian philosophy that is Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada gives an explanation of how this external feature of the personality of Godhead is being covered, is covering the personal feature of Krishna by the example of the cloud covering the sun. So although a cloud may cover the sun for many hundreds of miles, as he's saying, as was happening here in January, well, over half the month we were cloudy, which is not usual, but we can think about this example and relate it back to Krishna as we see the clouds covering the sun, and how they don't actually do that. There can be 100 miles of clouds and the sun shining down on the earth, and we're just seeing clouds, but it's not actually covering the sun. It's just appearing that way to us. So this is just one energy of Krishna's multifarious energies, and that being doesn't have the capability to cover the sun, to cover Krishna completely. So this cloud, or this material covering, is covering the eyes of most living entities, to be able to see the internal energy, or the personal form of the Lord, as he stands in his 3-folded position with his flute and his curly black hair and his beautiful forehead and the kastuva jewel and a peacock feather resting on his forehead, in his hair, as we sing every day for deity greetings, Venum Quandantam. That verse from the Brahma Samhita describes the appearance of Krishna. So if this is covering the eyes, this Maya or this energy of the Lord is covering the eyes of those who are not wanting to see Krishna. And so we also can read in the Brahma Samhita, the prayers by Lord Brahma, that Pramanjana Charito Bhakti Vilochana, we can only come to see Krishna if we're anointed with the salve or the pulp of love for him. The way we can attain that love is by serving him. And the only way to understand how to serve him is through the devotees. Through the devotees and also through the spiritual master. And the spiritual master will uncover the ways by which we can come to serve Krishna and ultimately to see Krishna. We get an example of this, or several other different examples of this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, like King Chitraketu. He was able to see Krishna face to face by the mercy of his spiritual master, Narada Muni, and also Angira Rishi was there too. But he gave them the ability to see Krishna face to face. And also Dhruva Maharaj was given the same opportunity to see Krishna face to face. And it's only by the mercy of the spiritual master. And the process to do that primarily is the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. And this is easy to come to understand who Krishna is and to anoint our eyes with the pulp of love by being scooped up or carried out of the material energy by the mercy of Krishna and also by the mercy of Guru and the devotees. So we see that some people deny the existence of God. They say, because I can't see him, he's not there. Well, there's many things in this world that we can't see, but we believe in or think that are there. Can anybody list any examples of one of those things that that are an example of this? Wi-Fi, air, gravity. So then they might say, okay, we can test these things. We can use some instrument that we to see that there's Wi-Fi moving about, or we can see that there's some oxygen there, or some air in the sky. So there's so many different tests they can come up with, but we can also have tests to see if we can see the Lord, right? And we're given that by the Maha Mantra. So this is the bona fide path of trying to slowly clean the heart of all the misgivings, all the doubts, all the misconceptions that we still have, which these misconceptions can ruin havoc on our spiritual lives. They can take us further away from Krishna, from realizing who God is. So we have to be careful of these misconceptions and ask those who have been practicing, who have maybe gone through the same questions as we have, and that way it'll make our faith stronger in the practice, and we can really devote ourselves to surrendering to the practice instead of surrendering to our own speculations of maybe how to live life correctly, that are still a burden on myself for sure. So asking these questions and talking about the philosophy and also relishing the pastimes of Krishna can help us uncover or remove cloud from our own eyes. This path, or this Bhagavad Dharma of practicing Krishna consciousness, is the highest path because it is practiced in a mood that is unmotivated by any other material circumstance. We're not practicing Krishna consciousness to get, more money or to have some form of sensual engagement. Not practicing it to develop our economic situation. And we're also not practicing it because we want to be free of a certain situation. We're not practicing it to be liberated, you could say. And that's quite different than a lot of the mainstream conceptions of what religion is. And Radha and I were reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam yesterday about how this is so. And Srila Prabhupada has a really nice, I'll read the verse from the 6th canto. It's at the end of the King Chitraketu pastime. So it says, being full of contradictions, all forms of religion, but Bhagavat Dharma, work under conceptions of fruit of results and distinctions of you and I and yours and mine. The followers of Srimad Bhagavatam have no such consciousness. They're all Krishna conscious, thinking that they are Krishna's and Krishna is theirs. That's really nice. We are Krishna's and Krishna is ours too. There are other low-class religious systems which are contemplated for the killing of enemies or the gain of mystic power. But such religious systems, being full of passion and envy, are impure because they are all of envy. They are full of irreligion. So this perfect. Nice. Bhagavad Dharma has no contradictions. Conceptions of your religion and my religion are completely absent from Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma means following the orders given by the Supreme Lord Bhagavan, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharmam Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. God is one, and God is for everyone. Therefore, everyone must surrender to God. That is the pure conception of religion. Whatever God orders constitutes religion. Dharmam tu sakshad bhagavat pranitam. In Bhagavat Dharma, There's no question of what you believe and what I believe. Everyone must believe in the Supreme Lord and carry out his orders. Anu kuliena Krishnanu shilanam. Whatever Krishna says, whatever God says, should be directly carried out. That is Dharma, religion. So whatever God says, we should do. God's saying in Bhagavad Gita, worship him, manmana bhavamad bhakto majjiji mam namaskuru, mam evaishasi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. You can worship him, you can offer him everything you have, you can offer your obeisances to him, you can try to love him and get to know him. By getting to know him, you'll love him more. And that's the order of God, is to try to love him. And we find the same thing in other religious paths, although it's not, Christ says, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, and intelligence, and love your neighbor. So, we can interpret that as, we can't kill animals because we got to love them. Or, it says, thou shalt not kill in the Old Testament. So God's showing himself in these many different religions to enlighten those who want to see him. And how to see him, we have to follow what he says. If one is actually Krishna conscious, he cannot have any enemies, since his only engagement is to induce others to surrender to Krishna or God. How can he have enemies? If one advocates the Hindu religion, the Muslim religion, the Christian religion, this religion or that religion, there will be conflicts. History shows that the followers of religious systems without a clear conception of God have fought with one another. There are many of this in history, but systems of religion that do not concentrate upon service to the Supreme are temporary and cannot last for long because they're full of envy. There are many activities directed against such religious systems, and therefore one must give up the idea of my belief and your belief. Everyone should believe in God and surrender unto him. That is Bhagavad Dharma. So yeah, when someone asks us, like, what do you believe? Like, I've had people ask me that question before. Like, oh, your hair is like that. What does that mean? Why you do this? Why are you so calm? What are your beliefs? And then I have to explain, well, it's not necessarily that I have some belief. I just hear the words of the Vedas and they're truth. They're not, you don't have to like try to believe them to understand that it's true. Yeah, it's inherent in the text. So the primary focus of Krishna consciousness is not belief, it's action in Krishna consciousness, chanting Krishna's names, serving the devotees, making nice preparations for the Lord, going to the grocery store, getting flowers for the Lord, taking care of your family for the Lord, making sure they're fed, prasadam every day. Going to work so you can support your ashram and be a good example for others to follow who might, like, why are you doing this? Why are you not stressed? Oh, it's because you're chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. Maybe I can try it. So there's so many different examples of those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, who are following this Bhagavad Dharma. And they're not thinking, this is my belief. because they want everyone to have it. If you think it's my belief, then it's yours. It's like it's possessive. Uh, why can't I think that also? Well, that's my way. And then you fight because that's my way. Or you think God looks like this or doesn't look like that because there's no actual description of him. Okay, we can't even draw him. We can't, these sort of things because there's no description of him, so we can't draw him. But that's not actually the fact. We have drawings of him, and he's described in the Vedas as looking a very specific way, and he has very specific markings on his body. And so we can say that is Krishna. Okay, maybe there's some questions. Yes, Prabhu.
Why shouldn't we worship Krishna for money or sensual pleasure?
Well, Krishna is going to fulfill all your desires. And so, if you want that, then he's going to give it to you. He might even give it to you when you don't want it, also. But our ultimate goal is pure bhakti. Our goal is not to get money because those things are temporary, right? The money, good looks, whatever talent you have, it's temporary. Of course, we should try to use the talents and the things we have to serve Krishna. But we don't want to be prideful about those things we have. Oh, I might be, good at distributing books or whatever thing you're doing for Krishna. We're not actually doing it for some result. We're doing it because we want to develop a relationship with Krishna. And actually, no matter what we do, it matters what we do, but also it doesn't matter because the only way we're going to be able to enter into the kingdom of God, to serve God, is by his mercy. So there's no we can't fabricate some method of our own. Of course, we should try to follow the rules and regulations of bhakti. And that'll keep our conscience clear so we can actually question these things like you did. Like, why don't we, worship Krishna for money or, but also we have the example of the acharyas, in this, in the text I was reading, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Jinavritam. We're hearing that we shouldn't, that pure bhakti, which is our goal, doesn't have anything to do with this getting fruitive results. And then we also hear in the Bhagavatam, Savai Pumsam Parodamo Yato Bhaktira Dokshaje Haituka Pratihata Yayat Masu Prasiddhiti. That this devotional service, which is not hampered by anything material, is what we're after. And actually, that's the only way that we can become satisfied. So this money is not going to lead to our satisfaction. That's the main thing. It's temporary. So we're trying to find something that's eternal. And fortunately, we have been presented with this path. And we can try to follow it to the best of our ability and see all the miracles that are happening every day to us because of that. And be grateful and for that. Any other questions, comments? Radhastali? I can repeat the question. Okay, sure. Or you can go and get the wire mic. Okay, this one. Or this one.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a nice class. Yeah, I like there are some reflections that you shared, like you said that someone might say, like, can you show me God? And I like what you said about this. I wanted to also add that, like, Srila Prabhupada gives this example of, like, we have to qualify ourselves to see God. So, like, one example I was thinking of was like a mechanic. You know, mechanic can look at a car and immediately see, oh yeah, there's the problem. That's how you fix it. But someone who doesn't have that qualification, they'll look at a car and they'll think like, oh, I don't know what's going on with this. I don't even know what that part is. So in the same way, it's like we see God by hearing about him. So like the more that we hear about Krishna, the more that we actually know Krishna, kind of like Rukmini, like Krishna's first wife, how like she heard so much about Krishna before she even saw him. And in that way, she was thinking, wow, that's the man I want to marry, or that's a person I want to marry. I don't want to marry someone that's like um bound by material energy. Anyways, that's just one reason that she wanted to marry him. So I was thinking of that when you brought that up. It's just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, we see Krishna by hearing about him. I also wanted to share a Bhagavad Gita verse that reminded me of this, or this verse reminded me of a Bhagavad Gita verse, chapter 7, verse 25. Krishna says, I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my eternal creative potency, Yoga Maya. And so the deluded world knows me not, who am unborn and infallible. So it's like you kind of were speaking about how we're covered. And it reminded me of this. And I just wanted to say one more thing. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Queen Kunti, and her prayer says, O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yoga Maya. The Brahmajyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchid Ananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. So it's really nice. We can, like you said, follow in the footsteps of like the great acharyas and saints and Queen Kunti, and just see like, okay, this is how we become uncovered devotional service. Okay, thank you. What's
An acharya is one who teaches by example. So, you know, we have all these paintings up here on the wall, and those are all the previous teachers of Krishna consciousness. And so they set a very high example for service to Krishna that we can become motivated by, not necessarily that we can imitate. Thank you for your comments. It's a really nice verse in the Gita. Do you have some comments, Radha Damodar Prabhu? No? Okay. Maybe we can end the class by hearing the 18th mantra in the Ishopanishad. O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet, O my Lord. Please lead me on the right path to reach you, and since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins so that there will be no hindrance to my progress. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Ishopanishad ki jai, Shri Gaurani